the province today. I think the rooster is bothering Wawa over there. The chicken, the chicken keeps bothering Wawa over there. Oh, anyway. Update, we need sand. We ordered all kind of sand, but the sand has not arrived yet. I don't know where the sand is. We have 100 sacks of sand coming. Alien Cruise Official is here. Who's here? Shaney. Hello. Hi, everybody. We need sand, and we ordered some, but it's not here yet. You know, you got to keep up. Got to keep up. Got to keep the workers supplied. They're not here yet, but we're out. It's hard to keep up with everything. Glinda, Montero, Raid, support Raid. So Papa Frank is down here. The crew's going to be here soon, but I wanted to do a quick live stream before they all showed up. Papa Frank is over here. He's clearing the way. They're already starting to work on digging out for the property line fence over here. And there's a lot of rock. So it's going to make it very difficult to clear it out. But they're making progress. I want to show you how much work they got done yesterday, though. I don't want to get hit by a rock, though. Frank. There you go. There's Papa Frank. So they need to clear this fence line out because they're going to start working in there. Here's what we got done yesterday. So you can see that it's they got all the hollow block up. Now the plan for here is going to be to go ahead and use tie beams to tie it all in. And so that means they're going to put a beam across the top there. And hopefully we can add a little bit of strength to this wall. So things didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted them to on this thing. I'm not too worried about it. It's not a retaining wall or anything like that. You know, it's mostly just to enhance the beauty of the property, basically. We could have done the old fence. We could have secured that, and we could have improved that. But I was a little bit concerned about how strong it was, and I'm kind of like I like to do my own stuff. I'm kind of like that. Maybe most of you figured it out. Anyway, I'm pushing on this, and it seems pretty sturdy. I don't think it's going to crash down in an earthquake, that's for sure. So this still has to be rendered, but I think today they'll be working on putting those tie beams across the top. And then that'll hide that wall that's behind us, that's the neighbor's fence. Have you ever heard the saying that fences make great neighbors? You know, I could have gone over there and asked them if we could rebuild that wall, but instead, I started thinking about how it might slow us down a little bit. So I didn't want to be slowed down by, running into problems with that wall and then having to rebuild it. You have to knock it down, it makes a mess, and you have to rebuild it, and that makes a mess. So instead of doing that, we just did back-to-back on the walls. So, all right, now here's what we decided to do. Now, you see that fence line over there? That is pretty much what this is going to look like over here. So this is what they'll be doing probably the majority of today. They'll be working on those tie beams up on top just to give the wall some extra strength. And then they'll be starting on digging this out and preparing this to make a fence that matches that one there. And then, of course, the rest of it across the front of the property line will come later, most likely after the house is built. But we might put a temporary bamboo fence there. I haven't decided yet. Maybe Frank will help me make that decision. But you see it's going really well. I hope we don't have to take out this banana tree, because this banana tree is productive like the other one. It's producing bananas, But I don't know how bananas work. Do they also need a female tree and a male tree like an avocado tree? because we took one out that was sitting right here, right underneath me. There's a little hill. There was a banana tree there. Anyway, so this is all important because I want this rock. The main objective here was to make sure that the rock and the gravel and everything that we do stays in this area. And so the fences are actually going to act as forms, as concrete forms, when we decide what to do here as far as pouring the foundation. Now, I went into ChatGPT and I did a little research. And I discovered that if you concrete this whole 200 square meters, you're doing load distribution on this house so well, because it is a light load house. It's not a hollow block house. It's going to be made out of steel or metal studs along with Hardy Flex. And so it doesn't have much of a load. In fact, I gave the perimeters. Oh, here's the sand. No, that's sand going to the neighbor. That's the neighbor's sand. All right, they're really busy in this neighborhood. People are building like crazy in here. So that's the same sand distributor that we're using. So you can see those guys are busy. So anyway, I was gonna say load distribution. I put the calculations into ChatGPT, and it's telling me I'm gonna have to talk to the engineer. Maybe the engineer is watching right now. But basically, here's what ChatGPT said when I had them engineer it. They said you could put about 150 to 175 square meter house designed the way that we want it designed, that you could do that if you go 5 inches with rebar support all through this 200 square meters, right? And then where the foundation of the house is, you go 12 inches deep and 18 inches wide. That's what ChatGPT said. So you don't have to go all the way down to bedrock, but you do have to put jagged edge 3/4 gravel in here to lock the river rock in, and then it has to be compacted. So if you have a different idea about this is what ChatGPT said. And of course, we have an engineer, and we're following what the engineer recommends. But I was curious, and I said, hey, do we change the load of the house? Do we change the load if it's distributed throughout this 200 square meters? And ChatGPT came back and said, yes, you do. And so once this is compacted with 3/4 inch gravel, according to ChatGPT, then you pour a 5-inch slab. And where the foundation of the house is, you go 12 inches deep and 18 inches wide, and you could use tube supports, steel tube supports. You know, as long as they're like 10 or 12, I think it was 10 millimeters thick in thickness. So you could use tube steel in order to use as supports for your exterior, your interior partitions, and the roof line. So I thought that was all very interesting. I mean, because concrete is fun to use, but it is also time consuming. Because the original idea here, of course, is to dig down to the bedrock and build our foundation. So the concrete will have concrete supports for the roof line. Kind of what they did, exactly what they did over here at this house they're working on down the street. I mean, and I like it. I mean, because it has rebar in it. It's strong. But so is tube steel, right? For example, I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's what they've got supporting the roof right there at the fence line, which is perfectly okay. And so they have plates welded down the bottom, and they have expansion bolts that go into the solid concrete for support. Or I'm assuming they do. Right, but here's the other problem, right? So you would go 12 inches deep by 18 inches wide. But we still have another problem here, right? We still have another thing that, not a problem, we still have something else we have to deal with. And that is that we have to get the foundation at least 2 or 3 feet above grade. See, because you got to be above the road in order to not have to worry about drainage. Anime Reyes is here, I believe. I can barely see you guys in the chat. I think that I forgot to brighten my screen up. Let me take care of that so I could see who else hanging around. CBGB. Yes, this old house. And so the fact that it has to come up another 2 or 3 feet and, above the roadway right there, it makes a difference on what kind of foundation you're going to pour. And so this is why you need an engineer. This is why we have one who's working on the plans right now. Probably is watching this live stream. And so it's a really good thing if he's watching, because he knows what I'm thinking. And then he'll send me an email and he'll say, Dan, what are you doing? What are you thinking about? But I'm not thinking about anything really. Except that I got to make sure that whatever we do, whichever way we go, we got to be above grade. A couple feet, 3 or 4. As a matter of fact, the higher the grade, the better as far as I'm concerned. As I had thought at one time that a good place to be would be right there at that fence line. That if you were to do the foundation right about where that fence line is right there, that you would be good to go. That would make me really, really comfortable. Of course, I'd also be okay if you came up halfway up the fence line. So anyway, we're gonna have to work all that out. So anyway, the plans are still in progress. They have not been submitted for approval yet. I'm gonna have to contact the engineer today to find out what's going on that way. But anyway, I was curious, so I put the whole thing into AI and it shot out some notes. And yeah, I'm really rocking. Look at all this. Yeah, we need sand. We're desperate for sand, and the guys are coming pretty soon. These guys they're moving really fast. I mean, look at this. I mean, by the end of today, I'm sure that those tie beams will be in there. They should be. I don't know if they'll all be poured, but the rebar should be constructed anyway. And maybe 1 section or 2 sections will be poured. And then over here, we don't really have much downtime today because we got a lot of work, because this has to be trenched out. And they're going to be doing that by hand. This has to be trenched out so they can start preparing for making the wall. So let's go see what the goats are doing. Look, we only have 5 bags of screen sand, and then what we have here. All right, so on a previous live stream, I had said, oh, the goats, there's a goat. There's one of the goats. On a previous live stream, I was talking about how, why can't they just bring sand from the beach or sand from the river? There's plenty of it. We live on an island. And then Mike at Hey Joe, Buena Vista Dreaming, Woody Woodruff, was saying, he was laughing at me, saying, no. Yeah, salt destroys concrete. It has to be crushed rock. Right, so that's basically what he had to say about that. He was laughing at me a little bit. Not laughing, he was smiling. He's a very kind man. He was smiling. But anyway, there's the chief goat right there, keeping an eye on everybody. John, YouTube channel is in the house. Welcome in, welcome in. So anyway, it's a beautiful day, but we usually get rain for like 20 or 30 minutes a day. May is usually the hottest month in the Philippines, and it has been. It's been killing us. But I've been inside the house. Oh, one more thing. The internet tanked, and PLDT does show up to change it over. I don't know if I told you guys this, but they come in, and it was supposed to be free install, and then the installers show up and they say, what? Huh? No, you got to hire a contractor to run cable along the roof so that we can get up there and tap into. I said, wait a minute. It's free as long as you guys don't have to do anything. Welcome to the Philippines. So anyway, I said, see you guys later. We changed our minds. But I don't know. I don't know if that's such a good plan. We have Globe coming this morning trying to find out if there's a short in the line somewhere. Maybe a mouse ate through some of the wires. That happened here before. Oh, here's your meters. Here's what electrical meters look like here in the Philippines. See that? You got all kind of different models of meters. They'll tell you what they authorize, and then they set this pole here. I can't remember really who paid for this pole. I know we paid for one or two poles, maybe the bulkhead in the back. Yeah, maybe it's this one we paid for. There, you can see that pole where the power goes to the house. And then we'll probably use that same pole to deliver the power here to this house. It'll be sitting there one day. Crystals is here. It's always an adventure with Crystals around. Susanna, single mom, is here. If you're looking for a single mom, that would be Susanna. And good morning to all of you. I appreciate you coming in. Rodella's here, I see. CBGB hanging in there. South Texan Jerry is here. And Jerry, I'm trying to roll my R's. Glenda Montero and the Raid Brigade. Beth Beltran is here. I'm sorry if I didn't shout you out. I meant to. The eyesight is fading fast. All right, so they're doing it over there. It's looking beautiful. I really am impressed. And I don't know, you can't really start building the house until after the permit has been approved. And so we're going to do this fence line, and then I guess we have to wait unless we're allowed to level it, and then we'll get started leveling it. I got to get somebody over here who can give me an idea based on the plans that we already have as to how this foundation should be constructed. All right, everybody, that's about all I got today. Uncle Frank working away. You guys all have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. If you're here in the Philippines, enjoy the rest of your day. If it's evening, morning, noon, or night, wherever you are in the world. And we'll see everybody later. Bye-bye.